Alright, and I believe we are now live. I thought I would do a live stream running some different trains because I have some pretty big news for the layout and the channel and a lot of other things which are already happening. Just gonna wait for some people actually join in here before I get into all of that. And I'll just quickly go ahead and set this to live chat so you can actually see everyone's messages here. Already got a whole bunch of people joining in. Can't be. Can you run a CSX diesel? Yeah, we can run a CSX diesel. District Headlight Railfan, welcome. What do you mean last layout live stream? Well, I was just saying I'm just gonna wait for a few more people to join in, then I'll explain what the plan is. It's gonna be some new things. I'm not quitting YouTube. Quite the opposite. Things are, I think, heading for a positive future. Can't be the last. Not the last. It might be the last as we kind of see things in this format. What's the most recent train you acquired? The Ferteshi AC44i, which I opened in the last video. Although that thing actually has been waiting in storage for a while now. Anyway, we got 100 people in the chat right now, so I think I'll get into it. Layout overhaul, kind of. So as some of you might have known from some previous live streams, I bought a house about 2 months ago, and as of about 2 days ago, I've actually been starting to remove many different parts of the layout. So we've actually got that shelf over there, and all the stuff which was under the layout has been moved. A while back, I actually disconnected the Hershey factory because this was all supposed to be moved into the garage, but we never did solve the flooding issue in there. But in the meantime, I ended up finding a place which fit the bill to host a layout like this. And so what's going to happen is over the next week, hopefully, we're going to chop this layout up into a bunch of pieces and haul it over there. Now, a lot of this is going to remain the same. Each section is going to retain kind of its current character, but because of the shape of the house, there's a pretty good chance things might be laid out a little bit differently just so that it all fits nicely. But the benefit is that since the place is my own, I can kind of do whatever I want, and the basement has a lot of space. So hopefully we can actually renovate the layout and not only get it over there, but improve it. It's definitely going to be a big job. Already getting all the boxes and stuff that were under this layout, it was already pretty big, and I think that cutting this whole layout up is also going to be quite the task, but I figure if I can build all of this, I can rebuild it if anything gets broken or things need to be adjusted. It's definitely going to take some while to actually get this all working again, but I am excited for it. I think it's going to be a good space. How old are you? I'm 24. Can you run a steam engine? Yeah, we can definitely get one going. So yeah, that's the main update. When are you gonna do the new layout videos? Well, I'm really hoping this week we can get this thing chopped up. I'm gonna have to go rent a U-Haul van to actually haul it over there. And I have no idea how long it's gonna take to cut the layout up. I mean, this was all built in sections, so I think that's actually gonna work in its favor, but it's never been moved significantly, so this is going to be new. Thank you so much for the super chat, Mark. And he says, congratulations on the house. Pretty excited about that. Congrats on the new house. Here's to new beginnings. Yeah. Cut the layout up so you can start taking it to train shows. That would be cool. When did you get into the hobby? I got into the hobby in 2006. Congrats on the new house. Yeah, I hope everything goes well. It's going to be interesting. My plan roughly is to remove all the buildings. Pretty much anything that isn't stuck to the layout or not adhered very well is going to get removed. So obviously all the trains, also the vehicles, buildings, things like that. And then I'm hoping we split this up into its original segments, rotate that, and then hopefully tilting it will go okay. I have moved a 4x8 layout before. It wasn't this one, it was the one I built for someone, so it's not my first rodeo, but that was also a much different layout. So we're gonna see. Are you moving out of the house? Yeah, it's a full-blown space. I'm moving out of this place. The house I've bought is a bit of a fixer-upper. It's not in like awful shape, but it was essentially abandoned for a year. Now, it still had electricity and stuff, but nobody was living in there, so it's definitely showing the signs of sitting. And then I think even before then too, the previous owners just let it get a bit run down, so the yard was very overgrown and just lots of stuff that needs attention. But fundamentally things are in good shape. You know, it's got a new roof on it, the hot water tank is good. A lot of the really important stuff has been taken care of. Trackside Mike, welcome. Are you taking Nerf Cat to the new house? Well, I'm not sure if you saw the news, but Nerf Kitty is no longer with us, unfortunately. About maybe a week ago, 5 days. My sense of time is not great on that, but quite recently he passed away. I'm 19 and I might move out. If I do, I'm taking everything in my HO scale and N scale layout. Gonna do a ceiling train set, a small train layout. It would be in an apartment. Should have a lot of content to film putting the layout together. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be a lot of videos. There's going to be one disassembling the whole layout. There might be some stuff actually moving it, and there's definitely going to be some reassembly. I bet there'll be some wild cards in there. I don't think it's going to be a perfectly smooth process, so yeah, we'll have to see. I'm sorry to hear that, Harrison. Yeah, I really miss him. It does hurt, but at the same time too, there isn't a more peaceful way he could have gone. He got to be outside. Me and my family were all there. It was as graceful as it could be, and that's all I'm grateful for. Because I was really worried in his old age. He was an outdoor cat, and he wasn't in very good shape. So you never know if, you know, anything can happen out there. And he was careful. He never really went far from the house, but I was always a little nervous about that. So I'm just glad that he ended on a high note. You might want to consider design layout elements as you rebuild your layout. Having these elements could make moving / disposing of it easier. Well, I don't know. People can say what they want about this layout. I understand the practicality of, you know, scrapping everything and starting all over, but I have too much nostalgia in this layout. It's the only layout I want. I couldn't rebuild it in a way that I think would be any better than what it currently is. Again, I'm talking purely from a sentimental standpoint, but it gets the job done. If anything, I just want to build upon it, and this new place is definitely gonna provide opportunities for that. Congrats on the new house. Sadly, if I wanted to move out of my house, I'll be looking at 1.2 million Canadian dollars for a family-sized house. Yeah, well, I'm in Canada too, so I'm in the same boat, and this place wasn't cheap even for what it was. Like, in your 2020 dollars, I felt like it was a good deal, but like 10 years ago, I'm not even going to say what it was, but gonna be paying it off for a long time. There's no doubt about that. But I'm just happy to find a place because my main concern, and I'm not trying to get political or anything here, is that the housing situation is probably only gonna get worse in Canada, and because of that, it's like, you know, I can buy now and maybe pay more than I'm comfortable paying, but at least have a place that's gonna hopefully appreciate in value. Whereas I feel like if I wait another 2 years, who the heck knows where things are gonna be at? So I'm taking a bit of a gamble, but I'm hoping it's gonna be a good one, and I think it's gonna be great too, having my own space. I mean, you know, I love my family to bits. They've been so accommodating with me running this channel out of the basement. But, you know, fundamentally, they're living their lives upstairs, and I'm trying to film videos down here, and there's always kind of some interference there. I'm not blaming them for that. That's purely, you know, me trying to run a channel out of a active house, but I think having my own space is going to be a good thing for that. Your layout is legendary. I appreciate that. Once you get moving and settled in your new place, do you plan on getting another cat? Probably not. I'm definitely not done with pets. I love having them in my life. I've always had cats, and as of recently, we have a dog and stuff like that. I think they are wonderful things, but I think right now there's a few too many irons in the fire, so that's the first thing. And I think the second thing is that it's a little too soon with our Nerf kitty moving on. I know if I found another cat, they'd probably be young, and you know, maybe they'd live for a while, but I'm just not in that frame right now. There's no replacing pets either and stuff. I mean, you can get another cat, and I know like two cats might have some stuff in common, but the personality is just so different. And Nerf Cat was a very weird cat, and I loved him for that. But it was funny. I remember years ago, I think it was this Netflix special that they were talking about, like, you know, how to treat your cat and the games you can play and stuff. And I was just watching it, being like, I don't think I could do any of this stuff with Nerf Cat. I think if you tried to buy him like a a stick with a string and tried to make him do tricks and stuff, he'd be like, "What are you trying to do, man?" So, yeah, it's buffering here, it's lagging. I think you have the best layout with... I think you have the best attitude with layouts. You do what makes you happy. That's just it. I mean, the entire point of being in a hobby is just to enjoy it, and if you're doing that, you're doing it right. Are you taking the whole layout? Yeah, for sure. Dunderville will live on, absolutely. Whether this will be the last live stream or not, it's been fun for a while, at least while it lasted. Are you planning on doing any after you move? Well, again, I'm saying like it's the end of live streaming as we know it here. I don't know what things are going to be like at the future house, but I'm hoping that's going to be an improvement as well, just because we've really slow internet at this place, and as people are talking about lag, I feel like it probably has something to do with that. The new place has fiber optic internet. It's 1500 megabits, so it's like 10 times the speed of what we have here. I think it's a lot quicker. I think I know the Netflix special you're talking about. I tried some of the stuff with my cat, but he's kind of stupid. Will the layout be the same after you move? I don't think it will. It's probably going to be similar, but there's definitely going to be some additions, and I also think that there's probably... things might be laid out a little differently. Possible garden layout in the future. I think it's in the cards. I have enough space in my yard for one. I think the real thing there is just cost. You know, between paying a mortgage and buying expensive G-scale stuff, it's going to be paying the mortgage, but it's not off the table. I already have enough. I could probably build a small one. Now you'll be able to live stream at all hours of the night without disturbing anyone, except maybe your girlfriend, but she's chill, right? Well, my girlfriend could sleep through anything. She has to set like the world's loudest alarm, so I wouldn't be too worried about her. But yeah, for everybody else here, I think they're going to appreciate not having somebody live streaming in their basement at 11 o'clock, and for me, it's going to be great being able to live stream till, you know, 1 o'clock in the morning. Because I'm a night owl. I've always been a night owl. I really like, I'm just up. I get wired at night. I don't know why. But, yeah, be more than happy to do some late live streams. Are you moving? Yeah, that's the news. Can I get a recap? In short, basically, I bought a house, and the layout is going to be moved over there, hopefully within the next week. Welcome to the live stream, James. Thank you so much for the super chat, remembering Civil War history. Layouts are great until you get a place and have to move everything. Yeah, for sure. Especially one like this with so many different parts. It will be like Adult Swim, but for model trains. Yeah. I wonder what the family is going to do with all the space they have down here. I don't know, maybe expand the Halloween decorating business. Are you still selling trains? I've never been selling trains. Some of the older engines that I bought in some of like my eBay lots, I sold to my local train store for like $5 a piece, but I've never been a model train dealer. Most of the time, whenever the OVA or flea market comes around, I just put out a table and just give stuff away randomly to people. Can you run the Golden Eagle? Yeah, sure. Actually, maybe not. Sorry, I'm just remembering that I've already hauled over part of the collection, so I still have these two, but this shelf right here, which had the Golden Eagle, it's already been moved over to the new place, so. What part of Canada are you in? I'm in the capital. What do Chloe and your sister do for hobbies? They're both pretty big into horseback riding. How thick is the plywood underneath? I think it's 1/2 inch. This was built on a dining table, so that's quite strong. I'm not too worried about this layout. I'm not too worried about that one. The mountain layout is going to be interesting because it was kind of built a little more piecemeal. Really, the only one I'm actually like kind of nervous to move is the Hershey factory, but that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. But yeah, this is the one that concerns me the most, because a lot of this stuff I could easily rebuild. The Hershey factory, I don't know. I see an AC44i. Yeah, I just bought one recently. Well, another one. I've got three of them, if you include one that I have in storage at the moment. Hopefully the third one won't have bad drive shafts. I can't believe that there's been two like that now. I really wonder if I've just had bad luck because they have to travel so far from South America, or if it's just been random, because I've had a lot of viewers from Brazil say that they've bought a bunch of Fratelli locomotives and they've never had that problem, so I just find it kind of funny that the two I've bought have been like that. Just got here. Are we talking about the layout move? Yep, that's exactly what's going on. Moving this whole thing to the new place. Did you buy a new house? I did buy a house. Congrats avec la nouvelle maison. Harrison, can you run that Southern Pacific locomotive you got from GB? I think it's by the Hershey factory. I don't know if it's at the Hershey factory. I might have, but I don't know if it's been hauled over to the new place as well. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Is an AC44i different from an AC4400? Yeah, so the AC44i is basically an AC4400. It's just a little bit different because it operates in Brazil, which I think has narrow gauge track. So it's basically, it's just a slightly modified AC44i. There's some people out there who would know a lot more about the technicality, but very similar locomotives. They look pretty much identical. I got a new 1-to-1 scale vehicle recently. What would that be? Probably has the gas mileage of a house. Do you have any tips for beginners like me? Get inspiration wherever you can about the hobby, whether it's watching videos or model railroad magazines or pictures online or real sites, and make yourself a list of everything you want, and then deduct off that list based on how much space you have to work with and what your budget is. The amount of space you have to work with, I would say, is also probably a deciding factor in what scale you choose, but that's a whole other thing. It's a 2007 Dodge Charger SRT. Oh, that's pretty cool. I do imagine that would burn its fair share of fuel, although I don't know, at least it's a direct injection, whereas like I've got an Oldsmobile, as some of you know, which has a 6.6 liter V8, and that's carbureted, and boy does that thing love gasoline. It drinks it like there's no tomorrow. How often do you need to clean your track? There's not really a set amount. It really depends how much you run your trains and, you know, if you're in a humid environment, but I usually aim to clean my track roughly once a month, but sometimes it's give or take. Sometimes I'll notice a decrease in performance, stuff is stuttering in one spot, I'll give the track a cleaning. Yeah, other times, you know, past a month, but I haven't been running as much stuff and things seem fine, so it usually starts to show. Have you ever used a Walthers cleaning car? I can't say I have. Actually, that might not be true, because my friend Nick, I think, has a cleaning car. I don't know if it's by Walthers, but he brought that over and ran it on the layout. I've never been a massive fan of cleaning cars. I get the idea. It's a good one. It's like you just throw one on a train and it cleans the track as you go, and you don't have to do as much work. But I find that they clean so minimally that even if you're running something all the time, you know, it still is not doing a very impressive job. And the other problem I've found with them is that, you know, even though it's not taking off a crazy amount of material, it's still putting strain on your engine and stuff like that. So maybe there's some people out there who really like cleaning cars. I've just never had an experience with one that's made me want to use one full time. I had to cut up my layout when we moved to a new house. I was able to expand it during the rebuild. If you're able to paint the basement floor before reassembly. Yeah, a lot of the basement floor in my case is all on tile, so I'm not too worried about water intrusion, if that's what you're suggesting painting the floor for. But I'm hoping to do something similar. If we could do some expansion, that would be great. You can still find the Athearn Genesis F3s without any detail put on them. Oh, there's still tons of them out there, yeah. That's the wonderful thing about the Athearns. Is this your last live stream? Not the last one for good. It's the last live stream that's likely going to be done in this basement, though, and with the layout in its current format, so things are going to change. Will the layout grow in the new place with more track? I think so. The interesting thing about the new space is that it's in a house that was renovated, like it was expanded over the years. So the basement, unlike this one where it's pretty much one giant area, is kind of divvied up into different areas. And I've already removed a couple of non-load bearing walls, but there are some other walls which are load bearing. I can't remove those. However, there are holes in the wall from where there used to be plumbing and stuff, so I'm thinking we can do some creative stuff and actually have tunnels that are actual tunnels through walls that are will allow access to other rooms, and then, I don't know, have this layout that kind of travels throughout different parts of the basement. And maybe with like the proto throttle, I could probably do some live streams where we're maybe doing operations or something, and I have actual destinations in the basement. Like, I was thinking on like in different rooms of the basement, I could actually have industries. And so it would actually kind of be a point-to-point layout where you leave the circular layout, which is this one, and then you actually drive your train throughout the house to different locations. No idea if that's going to work, but it's an idea. I think you should make a 2 or 3 mainline table, and then like a 10-track staging yard. Yeah, a freight yard would be a nice thing to add. I mean, this yard is good, but I would love to have something with basically just a long row of different tracks where I can actually store complete trains. So instead of having all my passenger cars in storage where, you know, I could only kind of run one passenger train at a time, what I would like to do is just have a giant yard where everything is parked, and then somebody says, hey, I want to see the daylight run, and it's just like, sure, bring it out of storage. Or I want to see the Amtrak set go, I want the intermodals, I want a coal train, something like that. You should put a Polar Express on the layout for Christmas. I do have one. Where's the goofy Aussie? He's upstairs, might be able to get him down here. He's been a ball of energy. I don't know what has gotten into him, but yeah, me and my sister were actually playing this game where we'd each have a handful of kibble, and then we have him run up and down the hallway. So I say, like, go to my sister, and bolts down the hallway, and then she tells him to come back to me. And they just keep running back and forth. It's pretty funny. We have a lot of trains to pack up. Well, luckily I've already made some pretty big progress on that. I'll show you some of it, actually. So, this, as some of you might remember, was full of boxes. They're all empty boxes, just stuff for different things I've bought over the years. And then this whole side was, as some of you might remember, this was like my whole parts section, and right here was mostly materials for actually building layouts and stuff like that. So that is all over there. And then under the Hershey factory, I had some boxes in storage, mostly stuff I've bought off eBay over the years for future videos. So we've got pretty much all of that cleared out. So that's already a pretty significant part of it. So now I just need to chop up the layout, get that over there, get those two shelves there. I'm not sure what's going to happen with all of this stuff. It's definitely going to be part of it. I just don't know if it's going to be laid out the same way. So that's another thing that might change at the new place. Maybe we'll actually be able to build a proper layout for the O-scale stuff and the N-scale stuff. Where can you get a Fruteschi locomotive besides eBay? I don't know. I'd imagine in Brazil you can probably order them online locally or go to a real train store. In terms of North America, I have no clue. I've only ever bought them off eBay. I think they do sell Fruteschi products in other countries, though. I think they're sold in New Zealand and Australia. Maybe some parts of the United Kingdom, but don't quote me on that. Why is it called the last live... I think it's called the last live stream on the layout as we know it, and the reason I'm saying that is because this is all getting torn up and moved to a new place, and it's probably going to change. Do you have any advice for building a small switching layout? I only have 1.5 feet by 3.5 feet of space to work with, and I'd like some advice. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not the right guy to ask on building a switching layout, because I've never built a point-to-point layout. Like, my layouts they all have, like, destinations and stuff, but there's no specific track plan I have that I can really recommend. But I guess you could apply the general advice I'm always giving, which is that, you know, get some inspiration. So if you're not sure what to do, see what other people are doing. Just look up shelf layouts. See if you like something. Maybe you can modify it. I bought some lifelike lamps at a train show, it says on the box, just to put them on the AC side of the controller. When I do, they get hot after about 5 to 8 minutes. Any tips? I wouldn't run them on AC. Most of those bulbs are meant for like 10 or 12 volts, and the AC output is 18, which is way too high. So get yourself a cheap controller and just run it off the DC side. It's the exact same transformer. But, yeah, I usually try to run my bulbs on a fairly low voltage. I run almost all of them on 12 volts, and if you run your bulbs on low voltage, they'll last practically forever. If you run them on 18 volts, there's only going to be a matter of time before they burn out. The logic at the time, the reason the manufacturers did that is because the AC side just uses the transformer's full voltage. So 18 volts is fine for a locomotive, but for a light, it's not. But they thought that the wiring would cause a voltage drop, and then it would be fine for the lights. But it's actually a pretty big design flaw. Remembering Civil War history, thank you so much for the super chat. I had the same idea with the yard, maybe a 4x8 piece of plywood with some turnouts for complete trains. Something like that. I was kind of thinking maybe... because this stretch of the layout is probably going to be quite similar, is almost building either a small extension off this part of the layout, and then a bunch of tracks, or it's separate, and I have like a kind of a channel to walk in, and then on the other side, I don't know if we have a lift-out section. Something like that. SMT, what will you do when you get to 200,000 subscribers? I see you're at 193. I don't have any plan in mind. If it does reach 200,000 subscribers, I'd be over the moon. I think that'd be great. I mean, I was quite happy when this channel hit 100 subscribers. 1,000 was great. When it hit 10,000, I was like, okay, cool. You know, I thought that was going to be it. And then it passed 100, so 200 would be quite the milestone, but nothing specifically in mind. Nerf Cat went to the train layout in the sky. Well, I'm sure he's very happy up there. I've been here since around 20,000 subscribers, the layout, and the community has grown so much. Sad to see the original layout leave, but I'm glad you'd be able to build an even better one. Well, and like, so much of this is staying. I'm not saying that the layout is getting completely rebuilt. It's just, there's a pretty good possibility, I think, that maybe things are going to have to be at different angles, and there's going to be, you know, a practical standpoint to how I put this together, just because, like, theoretically, I could put it together just the way it is, but I don't think it's going to work very well, because part of the basement is a bi-level, and so, you know, I could probably fit this in here, but I'd be hunched over every time I'm on that side, and I just don't know if I like that idea, so I think it might be a better idea just to try to reconfigure things. I mean, the mountain layout has never really been used that much, so if I can reconfigure it in a way that's a bit more practical, I think that would be a great thing. Will there be repair videos in the future? Absolutely. Got tons of repair projects that are waiting to go. I'm not sure which one is going to happen first, but we'll see. Good luck to move the Hershey factory. Yeah, that's the last thing I want to move. I was saying earlier, if you weren't there, that moving pretty much these 3 tables, really, it doesn't concern me that much. I think it's quite feasible. Moving that guy, I don't know. I'm hoping that if Hershey's comes back to town, I can offer them the layout on, like, an indefinite free lease or something. You should try the... Thank you for the super chat, Hiawatha Productions. You should try the Eaglin Nook. I'm sure I'm not saying that right. Shunting challenge. It's pretty fun. It's a great way when you get tired of watching engines go around in circles. I think I might have seen that. It's like a desk layout. Whoa. Don't know what that was. So no live streams in the meantime. Well, it depends how long it takes to get the layout up and running again. I really don't know what the time frame is going to be like for that. So, I mean, I don't really want to be doing a live stream if the track is so uneven that every other turn the train disconnects or something like that. Hello SMT, firstly my condolences about Nerf Cat. I hope he's having fun destroying model trees in the skies. Second, what's going on with the title? Is the layout finally getting moved to the garage? Even better than getting moved to the garage, it's getting moved to a new house. I bought a place. And yeah, as for biting trees, I'm gonna try not to get emotional saying this, but when we buried him, I actually pulled a tree off the layout. I thought he'd like that. Will you be making a layout for your O-gauge, G-scale, and S-gauge trains I sent you? Also, this year marks the 40th anniversary of Runaway Training. I'm planning on doing a video tribute about that. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that. I think I am going to build a table that's going to host all the scales, because I think having the stuff on the floor has worked, but fundamentally it's been a space issue. And maybe at the new place, either of these get their own layout, or maybe we have trains running on the ceiling. Either way, there's going to be some new stuff for those. How old was Nerf Cat? I had no clue he was on his 9th life. Oh, he was an old cat. He was 17 at least, but we didn't have him when he was a kitten. He kind of just moved in here and stuff. So we think he was born in 2008, but he could have been born before that, and maybe he just wasn't showing his age. But, you know, even if he was just 17, that's a pretty long life. And, a pretty long one, especially for an outdoor cat. Besides crack years, do you like older models for ease to work on? Oh, absolutely. Especially a lot of the stuff from the 50s is very user-friendly. Everything's held together with screws. That's really the stuff kind of, I feel like after the 60s, like the late 60s, early 70s is where, you know, a lot of the kind of cheap starter set train sets started to come on the market. And, you know, they're not all horrible to work on, but like the Tycho's, you know, like in the last one, it's so tricky to get those plates on. You're pulling a JDS Strux. I've heard of that channel, but I don't know anything about them, so I don't get the reference. How do I figure how much I turn up my controller to not give them too much power? Just set your controller to like 75 or 80%, because again, the AC output of any train controller is the same total output as it is on the AC side. So either you have full AC power or you have whatever DC power you're giving it. So if you do 80% of 18, I'm not going to do the math, but you know, you probably have a lot closer to 12 volts. The lower the better, but just get them to a level where they're not super bright, but they're bright enough. Personally, I like the lights to actually be slightly dimmed. I find it gives them a bit of like a warmer glow. Thank you so much for the super chat, Ed. Much love and respect for NerfCat. I hope we see a time-lapse of taking apart and moving the layout to your new home. Yeah, I think it might be even better than a time-lapse. We might actually have some, you know, full-length videos or something. I'm gonna see. There's gonna be something about it. Lifelike is good. I like them. It's not the most popular opinion in the community, but I find they're probably the easiest junkie brand to work on. Kind of crazy idea, but when you move to your new house, what if you put a switch on the side track that goes to the wall and has a single track rolling around the room as you see it pulling? I think if what you're saying is if you have another track that you can separate, I probably will be built something like that. Didn't see that you were live streaming. I just finished an order of 12 locomotives to clean and refurbish. I'm far too busy now. Well, a lot of the time whenever I'm working on something down here, I go on YouTube and I see what other people in the community are doing live streams, and I wrench on stuff while they're live. I don't know, kind of feels like you're model railroading with other people directly in the hobby that way. I know your opinions on Bachmann. What do you think about their daylight from them? I'm not trying to be too negative, but I've never been a very big fan of it. I own 2 of them. I think I have more. I'm talking about the new ones though. I've got some of the 80s ones. Those things are not reliable. The new ones are more reliable. Like I doubt you're gonna have issues with it not starting or anything. But the thing I really don't like about them is they are so picky with track. You run them into a corner, and I run 22 radius curves, which is a lot wider than 18. You have the slightest imperfection in your track that almost any other brand's steam engines will roll over. You try to run your Bachmann through there, and it derails. And the whole wiring between the locomotive and tender is also just a really bad design. So, you can buy one, but I just don't find they're as... They should be more enjoyable to run, is what I'm trying to say. Does your new house have an address so people can send boxes? I probably am just gonna get the P.O. box fully operational again. Lifelike got scarily close to the proper proportions of the F40PH with their 80s models side by side with newer ones from Rapido. It's really close for the time. I agree with that. Like, people, again, can say what they want about Lifelike, but it is pretty remarkable. A lot of the tooling that they made in the 70s is still fairly accurate. It doesn't look as accurate, you know, the handrails are all way overscaled and stuff, but there were definitely some people in that company who were trying to make a good product. I think they were just really restricted by the fact that, you know, they were trying to make beginner train sets that could be sold to people with a lower budget or kids and stuff like that. So it was a much different time in the hobby. I can see what they were aiming for, though. Would your girlfriend have any interest in creating any part of the layout? It might make for some interesting content. Well, I'd have to double check with her, but she was actually helping me when I was building the layout for my friend's son. When I was doing a lot of the painting and the grass laying, she showed up and she started helping out and doing that kind of stuff. She's not a model railroader, but she's kind of like an artsy person. Definitely use your P.O. box. You don't want some weirdo showing up at your house. What do normal people think about your hobby? Any bad experiences? How many kilograms does all the train have? Can you weigh them when you measure? I don't have a scale, so I can't do that. As for what the general public thinks about the hobby, most of the experiences I've had have been very positive. I would say in high school I did get some judgment from some of my peers at the time, but I mean, that's high school for you. In my later teenage years and 20s, I can say that, like, with every job I've had, I've never had a bad experience. There are some people that don't get it. Like, there were some coworkers, you know, one day, and they found out about a YouTube channel and that I was running this channel, and they were like, well, what's it about? And I was like, model railroading, and they're like, what's that? It's like, oh, it's these mini trains, like, you kind of recreate parts of the world and you run trains through it. And they're like, Thomas Wooden stuff? And I'm like, I mean, same idea, but not exactly. But one thing I will say about people, and this doesn't even just apply to model railroading, is that people are very optical. They have a far better time believing what they can actually see, and I'm kind of in that boat. Like, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So there have been a lot of people where I've told them I'm in a model railroading and they don't really get it, but then they come here for the first time and they see the layout and everything in person, and they're very wowed by it. So I don't know. When I meet somebody new, and then they ask, like, what my hobbies are, honestly, I don't usually mention model railroading, and it's not because I'm necessarily worried about getting judged. It's just because I'm more concerned. I just don't feel like going through the whole spiel of trying to explain the hobby. I just wait until they're here for the first time and say, oh yeah, I have this. Is your new basement finished? Not really. Like, it has walls, but it's the old 70s particle board walls. It does have ceiling tiles and stuff, which is going to be good for the audio. But it needs some love. Do you still have the Canadian National GS4? I still have it. As some of you might remember, it's actually right in the repair bench there. I was doing a live stream one day and it was running fine, and then all of a sudden it stopped and it kind of tipped a little, and then when I picked it up, all the wheels came out the side. I have that on video somewhere. I'll upload it. Like, normal people don't like model trains. Well, it certainly helps when you have, mainstream stuff that kind of shows the hobby. Like, there's an episode from the Trailer Park Boys where there's some model train stuff going on. There's, I think, one of the main characters from Homeland, if that's the show, is in a model railroading. Got some celebrities out there. You got Rod Stewart. I think Neil Young was a model railroader. I'm sure I missed. There's a lot of celebrities out there, but it's nice having some big names out there to try to get the hobby out there. Where's your girlfriend? Oh, she's at her family home right now. Are you moving? Yeah. Walt Disney too? Yeah. Darth Santa Fe, every hobby has haters. Just have to ignore them and have fun. Exactly. I don't think anybody should get into a hobby because they're trying to raise their social status or something. I mean, not that anybody would get into model railroading to look really cool, but if you're getting into a hobby to try to add an edge, I think you're starting in the wrong spot anyway. No matter what it is, if it's rock climbing or I don't know, archery. Gomez Adams, yeah. Be careful with the ceiling tiles. If they're old, they may contain asbestos. If you move them at all, wear a respirator. I've already been doing work over there. I appreciate the notice, but I have been very careful about asbestos. Most of the house was built in the 70s or 80s, so I think it's probably a little less likely, but there still could be. I think they were still using asbestos into the 90s in Canada, so there definitely could be some. But there were a whole bunch of tiles in the basement and stuff, so I was being really careful with those. Again, they probably don't contain asbestos, but it's better just to treat them like they do. Wear, face mask with a respirator and wear gloves and, change your clothes after and just be safe than sorry. Johnny Cash. Well, Johnny Cash was definitely in a train, so he wrote a lot of railroad songs, but I wasn't actually aware that he was in a model railroading. When I learned to play guitar and get into music, it was because I wanted to, not for anything else like notoriety or girls. And that's what I'm saying. I feel like that's the right reason to be into a hobby. Although, learning guitar, I guess, could have that edge. How does it feel that the Toronto Blue Jays lost? Well, I have a lot of family who's really hurting about that. Personally, I'm not into sports, so it doesn't really affect me. But yeah, I know some people that are not so happy about that. Is there enough space at the new house for the Oldsmobile? Yeah, well, the house has a garage, and the Oldsmobile is inside it. So if that car could talk, it would probably be very happy. It's not out in the rain anymore. Even though asbestos is cancerous, it's a very effective flame material. Yeah, well, it's too bad asbestos turned out to be so dangerous, because as a material, it's actually terrific stuff. It's fire resistant, it's incredibly strong, it's lightweight. Like, there's a lot of advantages for it. It's just that if you handle it a little too much and it gets in your lungs, it's pretty nasty stuff. But I'm friends with a lot of people in the trades who, they have to watch out for that stuff, and pretty much what I just keep hearing time and time again. Asbestos is not at all dangerous just as long as you don't disturb it. So if you have some in your ceiling but you don't do any renovations or anything, it's not really bad having it there. It's just that if you, I don't know, drill some holes in your ceiling and it's falling down, or if you go up there and you're messing with it, that's where you start to put yourself in danger because you're aerosolizing it. When I got into guitar, it was because of Nirvana. Do you ever listen to Nirvana? Oh yeah, I've listened to Nirvana. You ever seen Tea and Moonshine? I heard about that somewhere. I don't know what it is. We get used to our pets, and sometimes they're more to us than anyone knows. Your channel connected us with Nerfcat personally, with a personality of his own. And he added to the live stream. We will miss him. Yeah, for sure. Definitely need to run the Golden Eagle. I don't think I have it right now. Can you run the HCW? Yes, we could definitely do that. I wonder if it would run on the inside circuit. Probably not, right? I don't know. Let's see if it will do it. It became as worst toast. Super funniest. Thank you for the super chat. Adults that give you a side eye because they forgot what it's like to be a kid and have imagination when it comes to model railroading. Yeah. Watch Tea and Moonshine from Jimmy Lamb. Okay, Jimmy Lambert. I have seen that guy's channel. He does a lot of different videos, but no, I've not seen Tea and Moonshine. I'll have to have a look. Thanks for the super chat, Corey. Are you making a new layout when you move? It's a lot of modifying. Rod Stewart, Neil Young, Elton John. I did not know Elton John was into model railroading. Frank Sinatra, Roger Daltrey were all train collectors. Interesting. Welcome, David. What's your name? It's Harrison. We're gonna find out whether or not this guy can run on the inside circuit. I'm thinking it's probably not gonna work, but it's a pretty short wheelbase, so maybe it will do it. I give it 4 maybes out of 10. Thanks for joining the Wealth Folks Club. Yeah, I'm actually just remembering something about that locomotive. Let me show you. Yeah, I can't run this because there's no decoder in it. I was doing a repair for somebody and I needed one of those decoders, but the engine had motor issues, and so after I put the decoder in the faulty locomotive, I didn't want to throw it back inside here because I was like, if that's a bad, it could have done something bad to the decoder, and then I don't want that screwing up my engine, so until I get a new decoder, I can't run that. Are the trains not moving dummy units, or do they not have electricity? They don't have electricity. Welcome, Ottawa Model Rail fan. I know what's wrong. It ain't got no gas in it. I had a nickel for every time I've heard that line. I'll try running this Bachmann American. Are you for or against the smoke units? I'm not against them. It looks really cool having the steam engines actually be able to puff smoke, but I generally don't... I don't have any engines that have them, and the ones I do, I usually don't run them. If I had better ventilation down here, I probably would, but the air doesn't move enough, and so I find that after I run them, they're... like when I unboxed that Chinese 210-2, for the video, I was probably down here for like 2 hours with that thing running, smoking up the basement. That night, my throat was burning so bad. So I was like, okay, enough of that. Who knows what kind of crap, I was inhaling with that. What about smoked salmon? I'm not a big fan of anything that swims, but yeah, I know some people that do. Nothing wrong with it. If you had the money and the facilities, would you buy and run the Hull Chelsea Wakefield locomotive? Oh, absolutely. If that was in the budget, I would do it in a heartbeat. It's definitely somewhat feasible. You'd probably need about $300,000. I think if you had $300,000, you could probably make the get that going again. It wouldn't be the same operation anymore, but I imagine for that money, you could probably build a very basic shed to store it. The engine's basically operational, so that's all taken care of. But then, of course, there'd be the cost of moving it to whatever new site it's on and so forth, so... If you know anybody who wants to get a steam engine going again and they have $300,000, tell them to call me. No vape zone. Yeah, exactly. I would say smoking's for steam locomotives, but it doesn't even work with the models, I guess. I've heard the smoke fluid is similar to lamp oil. Yeah, and I don't know if that's a good thing, because I think lamp oil is quite similar to diesel fuel, which is definitely not something you want to be vaporizing. Do you ever find locomotives in your collection you don't remember buying? I unearthed a couple Tyco A-Team Sharknose as a pile of parts under my layout. Sometimes if there's multiple of the same engine, I have a little bit of trouble identifying which came from where. But there was one funny story. This happened about 5 years ago. I had bought a lot of trains off eBay, and it was a small lot. It was in like December, and there was a lot going on, and I just kind of forgot that I had bought that. And then a few months later, I find this box with no labels on it, because whenever I get the boxes, I always peel the labels off to protect people's identity. So I do this unboxing, and since I'd forgot that I bought it off eBay, I said, well, I guess this was like sent in from a mystery person. Whoever you are out there, thanks for sending this. Never heard from anybody. I'm like, this is so strange. About a month after that video, I was going through my eBay purchases and I found a picture and it was a lot of the same engines. And I'm like, yeah, so I just thanked nobody for a whole bunch of stuff that I had bought. So that was kind of funny. Only time I've ever made that mistake. The reason it's called the last live stream, as we know, is because we're going to be moving all of this to a new place. Just bought a new house, and it's all going to be taken apart. It's all going to be changed, likely. You could move the 909 to the Delson Museum and get free cab rides. It's not impossible. I mean, personally, if it were up to me, I'd really like for the locomotive to remain in the Uwe, but it wouldn't be a horrible future if it ended up at Expo Rail. I hope it's moved to Wakefield, where it used to run to. I think that that would be a terrific spot, because they already have a bunch of rail up there. So I think that would be quite nice, but if it's between nothing happening to it at all and it getting moved to Expo Rail, Expo Rail would be fine. The thing that would be nice about Expo Rail is you have enough talent to actually run one of these engines, because in Quebec, you do not have to have boiler certification to run a steam engine. You just need insurance. I just joined your members club because I really enjoy your live streams, and the videos help me get into the model railroad hobby. Well, thanks for joining, and another thing you get as members is you get the special stickers. If it's $300,000 in loonies and toonies, sorry if I spelled that long, you might need an actual freight train to take it to the bank. Yeah, no kidding. That'd weigh a ton. What's the yellow and silver locomotive that's sitting on the grass by the pumpkin patch? It looks cool. Can you run it? That is my grandmother's Riverossi Hiawatha, which I've been fixing up for a while. It is operable, although I usually don't run it very often, just because it's quite special, and I just want to make sure I'm being extra careful when I run it. I guess since it might be the last live stream in the layout, though, I'll try to run it maybe on the inside circuit, and I don't have to worry as much about it tipping over off the layout or something. I have a question. There's this engine I got from a neighbor. It's a small diesel, but mine needs oil in the gears, and there's a few tap screws holding in the engine, but I can't get them out. How do I do it? Whoops, sorry. I don't know why the camera just went like that. You could try getting needle nose pliers and gently pull on them as you turn the screws. Sometimes that will help the screw re-thread, and then you can just back it up. Have you ever been to the Queen Mary in California? I can't say I have. I've seen videos of it. I didn't know the Queen Mary was in California. I worked with people from Quebec, definitely a very different bunch. Oh yeah, I mean the culture in Quebec compared to the rest of Canada is way, way different. You know, let the train. I don't know where I want to park the freight cars. Okay, I think I got a plan here. I'm gonna try to run this off the main line. Yeah, I'm gonna try to run the freight train on this line. Hopefully it works, and then if it does, I'll be able to run the Hiawatha. Whereabouts in Canada do you live? I'm in Ontario, and albeit going to the train show in Barrie Garden Nursery. I'm not sure where that is. I'm from Ottawa, Gatineau. So I've spent a lot of time in Ontario. Can you run the Chinese steam locomotive? Yeah, sure. Let me just get the Hiawatha going here. I've watched your channel for several years now, and other channels have been great. I noticed how we get older, that time gets harder to keep. Your home, getting your home takes a lot. Yeah, well, it's going to be a lot. Well, it already has quite a bit of work, but I feel like actually owning the place, I'm sure, is going to be a learning curve. Although I'm not exactly unfamiliar with home maintenance, because there have been several times where my parents have been away from here for, over a month to look after the place, and that includes maintenance and stuff. One time we had the roof was developing ice dams, and I had to go up there and ship it away and stuff. So home's not completely foreign to me, but actually being the one behind the bills and stuff, that's all new. Okay, let's see if this guy will start. Yeah, very good. I'm only gonna run this for like 2 laps. Wonder why it derailed. The live streams are only ending temporarily until the layout moves. Well, I just mean too as we know it, because again, like, it's not going to be the end of live streaming, but I don't know how long it's going to take, and I don't know how all this is going to kind of reform. Like, I think there's going to be a lot of similarities, but the new place is not just going to be a new home, it's also going to be a new operation, I think. Good to let the old lass stretch her legs. Any plans to expand the layout? Yeah, absolutely. I think the new space is going to be great for that. I was, some people have been watching for a while. I'm probably starting to sound like a bit of a broken record, but the basement is basically divvied up into quite a few different rooms. So because of that, everyone kind of can't be all together, but there is the potential of actually building other layouts in other parts of the house and running trains through walls and crazy stuff like that. Why are you moving it? I bought a place. How many total trains have you gotten over the years? I don't know, to be honest. Hope we get more videos of the awesome trains. There's definitely going to be new stuff on the way. Tons of boxes to open up, tons of engines to fix. I want to make some other types of videos too. One of them actually includes how to fix an old train set. Because I've gotten so many comments over the years, people saying, oh, I dug out my trains from when I was a kid, or somebody saying I dug out my dad's trains from when he was a kid, or someone else saying I bought a train set off Facebook Marketplace for 50 bucks, but it hasn't been run in 30 years. And so a family friend actually gave me their old set. It hasn't been run since either the 70s or 80s, so we're looking at 40, 50 years roughly. and I bet it's gonna work, but there are a lot of tips I want to use to try to make that all happen. So an old set will almost certainly start. The only two things that can change is that if things are metal, they can oxidize, and if things are lubricated, the lubricants can harden. But provided you take care of those two things almost all the time, you know, you'll get them back. Later this month, I'm going to be tasked with categorizing a family friend's collection of O-scale trains and accessories. Unfortunately, his dementia can't run the layout anymore. Could you possibly do shorter restoration videos, not full live streams? Probably so. I'm definitely not done doing restoration videos. The only reason I've been doing so many repair live streams is because, you know, I buy these massive lots off eBay, and I really only like to make a video about a locomotive if it either shows basically no signs of operating, like it's stuttering really bad, like it just barely moves, or it's completely, like, dead in the water, doesn't want to move whatsoever. Because a lot of the times when I buy these lots, you have an engine where it runs, but it just runs poorly, and really all that needs is like a wheel cleaning and some fresh oil. So since I've had like an accumulation of those sorts of projects, I just decided to do a lot of live streams because they're a little more straightforward. Even then, sometimes I'm caught off guard, as some of you have seen those live streams will know. But I usually like to save the really crazy stuff for the videos. I took your advice and hooked them up to the DC side. They're still hot. I only have the controller up 50%. Any advice? I really wouldn't worry. If just as long as they look kind of dim, I don't think you have a problem. Incandescent bulbs are usually quite warm. They're not something that run cold like an LED, so could just be normal operation. Keep an eye on them though. Just like any layout, never leave that stuff plugged in if you're not around to keep an eye on it. Harrison, most smoke oil is just mineral oil, albeit some manufacturers do add scents to their smoke fluid. Definitely not recommended to use petroleum-based oils for locomotives. Well, I don't even know if mineral oil would be any better, honestly. Like, I don't think vaporizing oil is really a great idea. A lot of people are asking that I run a steam engine, so I think we'll throw the Hudson on. Finally got this guy running again. It broke down mysteriously during a live stream, and I thought I'd maybe either burned the motor out or it just wasn't getting power, like it had a brush issue. Boy, oh boy, I was wrong. I opened it up and the motor had become unwound. So something, at some point, one of the wires got broken, but it was, I guess, still running on two poles. And one of the coils was just unwinding in there, so it had just kind of gone around. I think I've only seen that happen one other time. Very strange issue. Especially for a Rivarossi, these things are usually quite reliable. Do you have a basement in your new place? I sure do. Hope everyone's having a great night. Here's to running some trains. They're old ones made by Lifelike. They're probably incandescent. Yeah, I'm almost certain they're incandescent. I don't think Lifelike ever made anything with LEDs. Would it be wrong when I get into model trains to have a mix of trains from around the world, like American, European, Asian, so on? I don't see anything wrong with it. I've got a Shikansen from Japan, and I've got a QJ from China, and about a million engines from the United States, and some stuff from Australia, some stuff from England. I think it's fun to run all that stuff. I mean, my layout is based in North America, but let's figure why limit yourself. Both the train clubs I'm part of are good with that too. The only thing I guess you might want to keep in mind is that some clubs are actually particular about what era you're running and what country trains are from. What do you think of Model Power? I think they were a decent manufacturer. Definitely not the highest detail out there, but I have some Model Power engines, and they've been fairly reliable. Some of them are actually made by Roco, and those are pretty well manufactured. Have you considered solder paste instead of wire? I'm willing to try it. Spent yesterday at Cincinnati Union Terminal. I went there once before. What a beautiful place. I have a Model Power metal train set. Those were great products. Have you tried artificially rusting an unused siding? I did once stick some older steel track outside to try to rust it. It did work, but I don't know. Never ended up using it for anything. As not to reveal my age on the internet, I want to join a model railroading club, but I'm afraid they won't accept me because of my age. Any advice? Well, I mean, there's no risk in it. Just asking. There are some train clubs, I think, that if you're like under 12, they won't let you in. But most of the ones in my area, if you're 12, or older, you're allowed to get in. I think really what any model railroad club doesn't want, they don't want young kids coming in just fooling around with stuff and kind of ruining the experience for anybody else. But you know, if you're like some 12-year-old kid and you're respectful and stuff, I really wouldn't worry. I spent 9 months working on the remodel of the Cincinnati Union Terminal. I imagine that must have been a huge job. That place is quite crazy. I did a live stream there. I don't know if it's still online, but yeah, I was very impressed when I saw that. This guy stepped off the job. You run the daylight? Sure. Let's see if we can run this thing without it derailing. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna take off the Canadian Pacific, because if I try to run this thing on the inside circuit, it's almost undoubtedly gonna derail, so I think this is a better idea. Is rubbing alcohol clean? Yeah, rubbing alcohol can help you clean your track. It's not my go-to just because it will remove carbon deposits and it will remove oil deposits. What it will not remove, however, is oxidization. So if your track is, you know, kind of weathered or something, it's not really going to help that. But you can use a green Scotch-Brite. Only the green one. Never use the steel wool, because if you do that, it's going to actually end up in your locomotive's motor. I learned that the hard way. And you don't want that. But the green stuff works fine. Just vacuum it after, just so that you're not getting the fibers in your engine. This engine can't stay on the track to save its life. Let's see if we can get it going here. I think it's number 8. No. 5 maybe? Trying to remember based off my E-command days where it was all single addresses here. Let's try 7. Nope. Okay, I'm just gonna have to go through all the numbers, I guess. Oh, that's 2. I've cleaned a lot of steel wool out of old motors. It's a common issue. Definitely opened up some stuff where there's been a ton of steel wool in the motor. Hey, it derailed. I wonder if it'll derail itself. Oh, this isn't looking good. Watch this thing just roll right off the layout. Okay, that was awesome. If you get the chance to still have in your basement one of the early videos I've been following since 2010, could you read the Midnight Special? Let me have a look. I definitely have a Midnight Special. I just don't know if it's one of the engines that I'm already moved over to the new house. It might be. I'll get number 6060 going though. With the move happening, would the industrial side of the layout be overhauled? I would love to see your modeling skills in that area. I think so. It's time to rebuild that yard. It has been for a while, but maybe with the added room, I could actually do something kind of special there. Gonna miss the old basement. I am too. This layout has been down here since 2007 when it was created. And I've spent so many hours down here, you know, just playing with the trains, and then later on actually making videos and stuff. A lot of my, well, all the major projects on the channel have all gone down here. Even building the speeder years ago was done in the basement. So, yeah, it's got some stories to tell. But there are going to be benefits to the new space, so I think I'm nostalgic about this, but I think it is going to be a positive next chapter. What's the worst performing locomotive you have? Good question. I have to go through and run them. I've definitely got a few. That's why the Bachman just have problems. Yeah, well, this thing rolls through without any issues. I think Bachman was a little too focused on following MNRA standards for the flange sizes, and they cut them down too much. Because these Mahano engines, they've got pizza cutters on them. They don't derail very easily. I don't think this will be the last we see of SMT. Let's congratulate him and wish him the best. Well, again, I'm not leaving. I'm not gonna stop live streaming for good. It's really just about being in this space and being you know, using the layout as it is right now. How nice is the new place gonna be, or have you not decided yet? Well, I mean, it's not gonna be like a Shangri-La in there for sure. It's, you know, it's 1950s, 70s era house, and it's a little run down around the edges, but I hope to improve it. I want to put good lighting in there. I want to make it look better. Is it ever going to be like fancy per se? Definitely not, but could definitely make it look a little nicer. For Halloween, I wore a construction hard hat with 2 flashing Federal Vector IVP pods attached, courtesy of my neighbor. If you had a ladder to that, you could probably walk into any building you want. You have to wonder sometimes when you see somebody out there wearing a vest, how many people are up to stuff they shouldn't be and are just wearing a high-vis vest just so that they don't stand out. Thank you so much for the super chat, Old Bay Rail fan. Hey SMT, sorry about Nerf Cat. The channel will never be the same again. You should make a boxcar and put his face on it or something like that. And what's this? I'm hearing about a move. I like that idea. I want to do something in his honor. I haven't quite decided yet, but I'm gonna think of. I'm gonna come up with something. There's no doubt about that. And yes, I bought a house, and this layout is gonna be moved. My house is run down everywhere. Well, I mean, just as long as it's not dangerous, I'm not really that bothered if, you know, things are not state-of-the-art. Like, you know, I actually kind of like older stuff, like, as you know, buying older engines, and my Oldsmobile is not in shape, and I don't know, almost all the things I have are like that, so I think it's all gonna fit together very nice. But yeah, in terms of a look standpoint, it's not the fanciest. Do you have any tips for new HO scale railroaders who are trying to get a layout started or fix up an engine? I'm trying to get a layout in my basement, but I'm running into issues with price and looks. Well, there's no specific, like, if I had to go into every detail on how to set up a railroad from start to finish, I definitely couldn't do that. I've got some videos on this channel that would do a much better job because I can actually show stuff. What I will say is that try to get in the loop in terms of like what other model railroaders are in your area, because sometimes you find out about train shows that are not very well advertised, and train shows are going to be the key. That's how you find materials, rolling stock, track, everything you need. You're going to find it cheap at a train show. It's definitely the best thing budget wise. Buying used in general is also a good way to save money, although you're gonna have to put a little more effort in on things. But yeah, I do plan on doing a budget layout series where I'm gonna kind of tackle a lot of that. Of course, though, are we gonna get videos of the work being done of the house and the progress on the move? Some of it, I've already done some of the renovations over at the house, so that stuff's not going to be included, but at least all the stuff for dismantling this, getting it over there and setting it up, that's definitely all going to be included. Yeah, maybe there'll be some renovation stuff depending on how things go. Harrison's house will be full of trains and a small place for him and his girlfriend. Yeah, pretty much. Would your folks be okay with you leaving the layout there? They're fine with the Hershey factory staying for an indefinite period of time, but I think they are pretty happy to get their basement back. Should put a statue of Nerf Cat on the layout. That's a nice idea. I know you have a 3D printer as far as Nerf Cat I can remember, Maker's World or something. I did one for my brother's dog. Well, maybe that would work. I live in an area that was founded over a swamp. Very few people have basements here. Our water table is too high that you fight mole and water seepage. That's my grandmother's house. She's got an older place in the country and it's on an old swamp. And the basement has always had water intrusion issues. I'm gonna miss Nerf Kitty walking through the layout and not tumbling on anything. Yeah, I don't know. Whenever he was kind of like, I loved him a bit. So I don't want this to sound wrong, but whenever he was kind of bugging me, I was always thinking, "There's gonna be a day where you miss this," and so I was always being kind of patient. But yeah, he was a hoot and a half every day early in the morning. He'd be the first thing to wake me up with his demands for breakfast, and then throughout the day he'd come down here and he'd hang out with me, but sometimes he'd sort of boss me around for food and things like that. And yeah, I always loved giving him attention, but he soaked up a lot of it, that's for sure. Just gotta say, we all appreciate this channel and what you've done on here. We'll support you all the way. It means a lot to hear that. It really does. I had a pretty funny morning once when he came to wake me up. I don't know if any of you have ever seen the show Rust Valley Restorations. It's a show, it's a Canadian show somewhere, I think it's from British Columbia. Somewhere out east. Anyway, west. Can't remember. Anyway, it's a show about like people bringing old cars that have been in the family for a long time and they're in really bad shape, and then this guy and his buddy Avery, they fix up these old cars and stuff, and by the end, you know, they blow the budget every time. It always kind of is a disaster, but at the end they roll out with a great product and the family is happy. It almost always ends good. Very entertaining show. But this one night I had this dream where I was watching Rust Valley Restorations, and in the dream, the main guy he's brought in his truck, and the main guy from the show is like describing all the things wrong with his truck, and he says, "So part of your frame rail is gone. It's been replaced with wood," and the guy's like, "Oh." And he's like, "Yeah, it looks like somebody screwed in some 2x4s up here to hold your truck together. That's not good." And he's like, "Oh." And then it's like, "Yeah, and your roof is completely rusted out." And he's like, "Oh." Anyway, I'm having this dream, and when I wake up, I'm still hearing "oh." And I was having one of those moments where the sound from real life was actually getting in the dream, and it was the cat meowing. But I just thought it was hilarious that I totally imagined this episode of Rust Valley Restorations where there was a guy who sounded sad about his truck all because the cat was meowing. It's the guy Hank Hill. I don't know, he's not Hank Hill. I can't remember. The guy from Rust Valley Restorations. He's quite a character. He's got these dark little glasses and this very hoarse voice. So he's walking around saying, "Yeah, it doesn't look like things are gonna be good at the shop here." I like how Nerf Cat would chew on trees on the layout. I loved that too. He's always picking at stuff. I swear he did that just to bother me, though. I don't think he was actually trying to eat that stuff. I think he just knew that If he did that, it'd get me all lit up. We're gonna lose the shop. Yeah, exactly. Will we see any upgrades to the N-scale layout at the new house? Probably so. I'm not sure what yet, though. Getting the HO layout going there is definitely going to be the priority. Mike, yes, that's the guy from the show, Mike. Speaking of the General Lee, what would it be called if it had a Quebec flag on the roof? The fleur-de-lis. I like that idea. That's good. The live stream just dropped for a second. I saw something online that shows that cats bite things to get attention. My cat Jessie bites wires all the time. Foreman Sook, yeah. Train like the General Lee, even give it a Dixie horn. I'm sure that would look awesome. I thought about doing that a few years ago, but I was a little bit concerned that it might get misread as something political. It shouldn't be, but I don't know. You never know. I really don't want any politics on this channel. I don't want that to start, so. What's that? Do you ever plan on visiting a railway in the UK? Probably so. Nothing in particular, but at some point in my life, I want to go to Worthing, England, because that's where my grandmother on my mom's side came from. And then I'd also love to visit Hanover, Germany, which is where my grandmother on my dad's side came from. I have an orange Charger. I was gonna put a no one on it and call it the Specifically. That's pretty funny. I really like the General Mayhem, if any of you have ever watched Roadkill. It's like a 1968 Dodge Charger with one red fender. Do you still have the Oldsmobile? Yeah, I've got the Oldsmobile. Went to some party about a week ago. It was hilarious because I bought some camera. It doesn't have a screen on it, and she was taking all kinds of pictures of it there. It looks like it's the 70s. Are in the olds. This is a terrible terrible picture of it. You can hardly see what's going on here, but yeah, we got the whole gang in the car. I saw your face. Well, a lot of people think I don't show my face in videos. I'm not scared to. It's not a faceless channel. It's just I like to keep the focus on the trains. I do find this new camera a little bit weird though. I just got this new phone and I don't know why, but my face looks really glossy with it and red. It's very odd. It looks like I have like a sunburn or something. Big 80s cars are the best. They sure are. I love the land yachts. It was a little sketchy though, because the place we went to, it was packed. There was a lot of people there, and they have this tiny driveway which is like curved and stuff like that. So I felt like I was driving like Oasis of the Seas through this yard. It's like Evo, hard to starboard. New phone, new house. This man is rich. Well, anything but with a new house. No, the phone was free. TELUS kept contacting my family over and over and over again saying get a free phone. It's like, okay, well, there's got to be some sort of a catch to that. So we just kept asking them, and they're like, no, it's just a promotion. No extra charges. We went through it, and it's like, okay. So they sent us one. Google Pixel something or another. I don't know what, but I figured it'd be more modern than my older phone. I think I still need to mess with the settings. I find like color looks a little washed out, so we're gonna try to do some adjustments there, but yeah. Since we're on the topic of the General Lee, my dad's cousin was one here a couple of years ago. I'm gonna get a van and paint it like the A-Team so we can get photos together. That's a good idea. Bro is sponsored by TELUS. I don't even really like the company very much, but yeah, there we go. Sponsorship confirmed. I would sponsor me. Send me more free cell phones. It's not the case anymore, but kind of like a friend of a friend of a friend knows the vice president of TELUS, and when I bought this engine, we had sent him the video because he works for TELUS, and he actually sent it to the president of TELUS, which was kind of funny. Get the TELUS unit running, bring in more of that sweet sponsorship money, get the Kool-Aid running. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably prefer to be sponsored by Kool-Aid, frankly. No, the TELUS locomotive existed. Is it made by Life Like I Need to Know? It's by Rapido. And this was a real engine. This wasn't like a fantasy paint scheme. In the early 2000s, Via Rail was, I don't know, I guess so low on money, they were doing these kind of cool wraps, so they were getting different companies to sponsor their engines, and TELUS was one of them. That was, I think, a 2004 or so promotion, but they had some other cool ones. They also had Kool-Aid. If I'm not mistaken, I think they also had a Pepsi one, a Home Hardware one, Radio Canada. I'm not sure if there were any others. Do you watch NASCAR? Not really. I think NASCAR is cool. I have nothing against it, but yeah, I don't think there's really anything on TV that I watch. Nothing competitive. I do know who Dale Earnhardt is, though. I like the that movie too, Talladega Nights. That one's pretty funny. If I was the owner of a big corporation and a railroad asked for me to sponsor an engine, I'd say yes in a heartbeat. They had a Spider-Man rap too, you're right. The Ballad of Ricky Bobby, yeah. What about anime? Do you watch that? Not really. I was watching some Initial D back in the day, but that's about it. That, watching that show is what led to the whole Deja Vu video, by the way. An HO scale Freedom Factory with some beat-up Crown Vics would be funny. I'd like that. I haven't checked in on that channel in a while. I wonder how things are going with the Freedom Factory, because I'd heard they were having some issues with the city. Which one is the Freedom Factory? I forget the guy's name. He's a major automotive channel, and they bought an old racetrack. I want to say his name is Luke something, but I don't know if that's right. Cletus McFar... Yeah, I'm so bad with names. I watched him for years, I can't remember his name. Hell yeah, brother, you got a Freedom Factory? I wish. The Freedom Factory, we make freedom units. SMT needs to release a branded fiberglass pencil. That's a good idea. I wonder how hard it would be to get some company to, I don't know, specially mark them. You need a Nerf Cat shirt. I think they exist as a product. What are your thoughts on square slots for locomotives? Are they as bad as some say? I don't know what square slots are, to be honest with you. You ever watch Futurama? Not a whole lot. I have nothing against the show. I don't know. I wasn't really into it. The show I really grew up with was Family Guy. Family Guy and a bit of American Dad and The Simpsons. Absolute Cinema. I guess we got verified accounts in here. Instead of buying more trains on eBay, get out some merch. I have a merch store, but I gotta say that working with Teespring has not exactly been a treat. I want to find a new supplier, because they're pretty bad. Do you have any 1940s era Southern Pacific? One of my daylights might be 40s era, I don't know. Just curious what the model train scene is like in Ottawa-Gatineau. Do you folks have a hobby shop or a model train club in the area? We've got a hobby house, which is pretty much in downtown Ottawa. It's in Vanier, which, if you ever visit Ottawa, just be careful around Vanier. It's a rougher part of the city, but a good central location. So there's that. We've got Larkspur. That's about an hour away, a little less convenient, but still around. Got the Hobby Center, that's kind of more to the east side of Ottawa. They moved recently. I haven't been to their new location, but they have some model train stuff. As for model train clubs, I think we've got 3. I'm part of 2 of them. I'm not going to say the names just for, I don't know, I don't want people bugging them. But we got a couple train clubs. And there's the OVR flea market. When I retired, I simply have to leave Toronto. Ottawa would be better than here. Well, I wouldn't know. I've never lived in Toronto, so I can't really compare it, but it's alright. What do you do for work? I don't have a specific job. I kind of do odd jobs. I got like a bit of a furniture building business. There's good money in building IKEA furniture, I tell you what. You can make 50 bucks an hour actually doing that. And then I've also got a boat part business, so I make some cash on the side with that. And then the channel is part of it too, so between those 3, it gets the job done. We hit the 1 hour mark. It says right here it's been going for 2 hours. Our hobby stores are few, they don't sell much new stuff. I find that that's happening here, I think especially in Canada right now, because the Canadian dollar is doing so poorly. A lot of hobby stores are just selling used. It's way cheaper. As Larkspur used to have a pretty big selection of new stuff, and they still do, but I would say the majority of the stuff they're selling these days is used, and Hobby House sells their fair share of used stuff as well. There's definitely a lot of it out there. Apparently the videos have actually been really helping the hobby stores too. I've had both of them report back to me that apparently business has actually increased after I've made videos there, so I'm happy for them. It's kind of a nice symbiotic thing where, you know, I get to make a video and they get some more customers in the door and some more people get to enjoy the hobby. My son makes good money on the side installing washers, dryers, and building furniture. Well, nobody wants to build furniture. They you know, they'll get stuff from IKEA, but they don't want to assemble it, and it is kind of a pain in the butt, especially when things don't line up. IKEA is pretty reliable. Wayfair, it's the stuff from Wayfair is not well made. I was shocked. I was building this table for this guy, and well, it wasn't really a table. It was like a side table for like a couch. And the back of it was made out of cardboard and nothing lined up correctly, but you were literally, the structure of it was literally hammering nails through cardboard to hold the frame together so it wouldn't tip over. A lot of difficulty with that stuff. How old is the steam locomotive going around right now? And correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that a Canadian paint scheme? Well, it's a Canadian locomotive. I don't know how old it is. It's still around, but I don't think it's operable at the moment. Some people make money putting Christmas lights up this time of year. Well, yeah, funny you say. That was my grandparents. They were decorators, so every Christmas they would go into government buildings and malls and they would decorate all the window displays and stuff like that. And it was insane how many hours they were working doing that kind of stuff. And as a result, pretty crazy around Christmas because sometimes, you know, my mom is really skilled because when she was young, was working in that business with them. But my grandmother obviously also has years of that experience, so she can always make these pretty elaborate displays. We had to decorate a school once, and she really went all out. It was incredible. Wayfair furniture is like Amazon and Walmart. It's also cheap now. Yeah, and I mean, so is IKEA, but at least this stuff from IKEA, it's at least being sold somewhat affordably. Like, I don't feel as bad about it not being, like, perfect. The stuff from Wayfair, like that cardboard table, that was $400 or something, and, you know, I didn't want to make the guy feel bad. It's like, it's not my place to judge their furniture buying decisions, but I was thinking on the inside, like, this guy got ripped off so bad. They do. I don't know if they ever did any train displays. I've never heard that story if they did, but yeah, it was a pretty elaborate business. They had they had the decorating side, which again took care of government buildings. It took care of commercial buildings, you name it. They were decorating everything for different holidays, and then they almost had like a retail store where people could actually come in and buy decorations. And then on top of that, they also had the movie prop business. So another part of the store, they had all sorts of things for, you know, if they were like somebody was doing a photo shoot and they needed like some fake trees in the background, they could go there and buy them. Really, really unique business. Do you have any locomotives from Mexico? I have at least one. I think it's the State Railway. Let's see if I can find it. Here it is. Oh, that started up nicely. Did you know that there is a Canadian Pacific Mikado just sitting in an industrial serb in a Buffalo, New York suburb? I had no idea. I wish I had known. I went through Buffalo earlier this year. Good luck on the new house. Thank you. I recently got into model railroading and rediscovered your channel. I remember messaging about 6 years ago about your Windows XP computers. Glad to see you're still streaming. Oh, that's great to hear. Yeah. 6 years ago. That's a way back. That would be what, 2018 era? Channel was a lot different then, I tell you what. Do you have any Bachmann Spectrum locomotives in your collection? I've got a few. Do you have any Ball rail line cars? I don't know if I do. You run a German locomotive. Yeah. Pretty sure this is German. Oh, it doesn't want to wake up. I don't know if this thing needs oil or what the case is. Sparky's upset that I don't have any Conrail. We can put a Conrail on. We'll have to finish off the live stream pretty soon because it's getting late, but let's see if we can get this guy going. This thing seems quite underpowered. No idea if that's going to work. I'll give it some more power. Alright, we've upped the voltage. Let's see if that's enough to get this guy going. Oh, yeah, maybe. Crap. If I should just really feed this thing all the voltage. Oh, it's seized up now. I guess that's going on the repair bench, and also the Mexican unit is derailing. Ah, the Mexican locomotive re-railed itself. That's nice. Let's see here. 2572. I don't know how to shut this thing off. Oh. I don't know. I have to do some work on this engine. It always derails. I never understood why. I feel like every live stream I try to run this thing and it gets to like one switch and it just goes. When you do repairs or upgrades, do you bother installing lights so that they only shine through the actual headlight of the locomotive? I mean, I'll try to position the bulb like, you know, with some of these I actually put the bulb directly in the light, and that works pretty well. But I'm not super picky about it. I don't think that has a coupler, so I'll have to run something else. I see no blue. Yeah, the blue engine doesn't want to run on its own. Unless I have something else. That thing's definitely not quiet. Yeah. Could you run the Canadian Centennial? Sure. What's the weirdest locomotive you have? Probably the Swedish engine, which somebody painted up into a Virginia unit. The wheels may have a gauging issue. That's a good point. See if I can get this going, and I'll also see if I can find my MNRA gauge and see if we can sort this guy out. I don't even know what brand this is. Now, not again. That looks good. That looks good. They all look perfect. So I guess it's not a gauging issue. The only other thing I could figure is that if there's weight being applied at a weird angle, sometimes the truck can actually pivot a funny way, which could also maybe be causing an issue. Although these both feel like they're turning relatively well. On the table. I think he said it doesn't run. You need to add more Conrail for sure. Do you have number 844? I can't say I do. I should try to run this piece of garbage back here. I love this thing. My buddy found this at a train show for $1. Well, when I got this thing, it was missing a lot of parts. In fact, somebody had kind of half converted it into like a dummy engine. And I didn't have a drive shaft that was big enough. So if you look inside there, that's actually a wood skewer. It's been reused. Well, it doesn't sound good, but it is moving. I hope you have a good move. For my final request, run the first locomotive you ever bought with your own money. That's a good idea. Let me see if I can find it. I don't think it was moved. The keyword is think. See if I can find it here. Some Amtrak California locomotive. I'm not sure. Maybe I did move it over there. It's like an old Athearn. Here it is. Are you gonna make a tribute video for Nerf Cat? I might. It's hard to say. My phone mysteriously just stopped working about a week ago, and most of the footage I have of him is on there. So I think there's probably gonna be a way I can like recover the data, but I don't know. Getting into that. It might be a nice thing, but I don't know. I also feel like maybe it's a little too soon. The story behind this engine is I had saved up probably a year's allowance just doing chores and stuff like that around the house. I was like 6 or 7 years old, and my parents agreed that once I had enough money to buy an engine, we'd go to Larkspur Line. And the day I saved up enough, we went there that weekend, and we went through so many boxes. I was so excited to buy an engine with my own money, and I found this one, and I really liked it because I just felt the lighting was cool on it. Anyways, I remember laying out all the like toonies and loonies and dimes and everything to purchase it. I think we were probably there for 10 minutes just organizing change. I had $10 left, I remember that. I was like, hey, went under budget. I'm tired. I was wondering about your switches. You have way too many derailments on switches. I know you have 20 years experience, but eventually it becomes more of a coincidence, Dr. Watson. Yeah, but not everything is derailing on the switches. It's specific locomotives. Like, you know, I just ran two of the same Athearn engines over the switch, and one derailed on it, and the other didn't, so... I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with this switch. This is the last live stream. Not for good, but it will, in all likelihood, be the last live stream I film in this basement. And with the layout the way it is. So I think tomorrow or something like that, I'm going to start sawing up the whole layout. It's going to be really weird cutting this all up. I'm having a hard time kind of picturing it in my head, but once it's underway, it should be good. SMT, you said the curse number? Did I? I can't remember what sentence I would have used those two numbers in. It doesn't matter. Rare footage of SMT saying he's tired. Are you thinking about... The whole layout is going to be moved with the exception of Hershey's. Congratulations on the new house. I heard it's the beginning of the live stream. Wanted to get this part. Where'd you get the little mountain from? I think it's a Woodland Scenics kit. It was a gift when I was a kid from my aunt. So for your lost SMT, luck on moving. Have a wonderful week. Thank you. The Hershey factory is staying for a time. I mean, I eventually want to move it over there, but I was saying earlier, like, of all the parts of this layout, that one makes me the most concerned. Are you going to change the layout at all? It's quite likely. Anyways, I think I'll finish off the live stream here. Thank you all so much for joining in this evening. As usual, I had a lot of fun running trains with everybody, and yeah, I'm hoping to take some video of disassembling this so I can keep all of you out there updated on the process. I think that we're about to see a cool new era of the channel. So stay tuned for that. But until then, I hope everyone has a wonderful night.